My video for August 15th, 2019 is entitled First Lady Multi-Millionaire in America. And this is video number 3178. I'm going to continue with the theme from the previous video since I realized that what I had watched was only part one. Part two focused a lot on a lady who was likely the first woman multimillionaire in America at a time when women were not even allowed to vote. Marjorie Merriweather Post took over the business after her father, ailing from ill health, committed suicide. Not only did she take over the business, she greatly expanded the operation, turning the Post cereal operation into General Foods. She also financed the start of the frozen food industry at a time when no one in America had a freezer, not even stores. Yes, that means she had to help create a whole new industry. To say she was a shrewd businesswoman is probably an understatement. She bought out local brands and formed alliances that I see as the building of the food branch of the cabal here in the US and around the world. On the one hand, I cannot help but admire her for the tenacity and vision she had. But on the other hand, she was part of the problem that became so obvious to those who can see outside the box that was created or expanded at the time. Today, many see it as the matrix or financial grid. I still have a lot of questions. I have the wrong word there. Oh, anyway, it's fixed. Let me save it. Yes, I was not planning on doing another video, and I actually turned off the previous one before it was completely over because it was getting time to put up my next video. And I didn't want to go like I had the previous night of ending up watching something that went till 2 a.m. I mean, I didn't have time to do it on a Tuesday night or a Monday night rather. Anyway, I watched the few more hours of that video till its I believe till its conclusion, and a lot of it talked about this lady that was an amazing visionary. And again, like I mentioned in the blurb, this was at a time when women were not even allowed to vote. I mean, women were not allowed to vote till some time later. Now she did die in the 20th century, so by the time she died, I think women had gained the right to vote, but not when she took over the business of Post cereals and expanded it into General Foods. I mean, she went out and she bought up a whole bunch of relatively local brands and made them national and even international brands. And to show the vision that she had, there was this man that I forgot his name. I should have written that down for the blurb. Do I have it written here? Birdseye. Yeah, his last name was Birdseye, believe it or not. And he accidentally discovered that food that was frozen at 40 below zero, up where he lived in northern Canada, he realized that it maintained its flavor, unlike the slow freezing process, which basically destroyed the texture and flavor of the food. Frozen food was not even in existence back there in the late 19th, early 20th century. It was unheard of. And as I said, nobody, no stores, nobody had freezers. The refrigerators were boxes that were somewhat insulated, and they would put a chunk of ice to keep the food relatively cold. But of course, the ice had to be replaced on a regular basis, or otherwise the capacity wasn't there. It was not electricity driven. So there were lots of inventions that came into being at that time, which now we take for granted. But at the time that this amazing lady came around, there was no such thing as refrigeration. in the sense that we think of it now, and certainly no frozen food. And frozen food has become one of the largest industries on earth. I mean, it's everybody now gets frozen food because that's the way we do things. And this whole process, she helped finance the technology that was upgraded and created and upgraded to the level that we have today. She was the start of all of this. And again, folks, this is a lady who took over the business of her dad, and it was at a time when she walked into the boardroom, and of course it's a dramatization of the life. I mean, I'm sure it's not the actual photographs, but the video was very, very well done. And no, I cannot find it. It doesn't seem to be available yet as a DVD. And I have done searches even more expanded than what I did before I recorded the previous video. It is a video, however, that I would like to watch again without commercials. And hopefully I will be able to reach that point at some time in the relative near future, and watch the whole thing in its actual sequence without being interrupted by a 4-minute series of commercials, or sometimes even maybe more than 4 minutes. I mean, the insanity of the whole commercial system to me is beyond belief. But then again, advertising is how we get to know new things. And so advertisers spend a lot of money trying to get you to consider their products. And someone on limited income like myself, I only look for what I need, and I don't want to be sold a bill of goods on things that I have been able to do without and don't need. Anyway, folks, I'm rambling, but I want to encourage people to Google this name, Marjorie Merriweather Post. And again, she was the creator of General Foods, taking it over as Post, and Post was the one that was in competition with Kellogg's, the Post cereal. So that, I mean, I'm just giving you some of the genealogy of this thing. And of course, Kellogg, oh no, it was actually Hershey, not Kellogg. I'm mixing some of these people that played such a role in the development of food after the Civil War in the United States and ultimately around the world. I'm getting some of the names mixed up, but it's fascinating. I mean, I want to go back when I can get my hands on a DVD of that. I want to go back and really look at this thing and dissect it in more detail. As of right now, I don't have that capability, and I don't intend to suffer through all the commercials that would be required if I was able to still watch it, which of course it's already aired on the History Channel. Anyway, folks, I am looking for real change. And that change has to take us away from an elite class that controls everybody else. I want to see freedom, not liberty, freedom for everyone, freedom of expression, freedom to protect ourselves, which includes, at this point, unfortunately, the right to bear arms, which is necessary, and all sorts of other freedoms that were enumerated in what we call the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, but even going back to the Magna Carta, and even going back further to ancient Greece, where some of the visionaries at that time gave us ideas of what we now call democracy. But of course, democracy is mob rule, and we have to have some checks and balances to prevent a brainwashed majority from taking over control of everyone else. We have to have common sense put in. Now, is that possible? Well, I hope so. But I'm not going to hold my breath because it doesn't do any good. Thank you, folks, for listening, and namaste.